Sure. Actually, I'm the the only one in the house that is not sick, so I'm
Oh,
great.
really? So they
Yeah,
got a flu, or what did they get?
yeah. My dad started probably 5, 6 days ago, and then my mom, and then Luis. But Mitch is not feeling bad, but she's having like the
Running
symptoms.
nose?
Yeah, the running
Okay.
nose, and I feel good. I'm happy for that because normally I'm the first one in get sick.
Maybe your defenses are pretty steep, pretty high today.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm taking vitamin C and all stuff too because yeah, I need to be protect.
Yeah, well, vitamin C is the best.
Yes, sure. And you?
Fine too, thank you very much. I had my first class with your brother, with Luis, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very smart kid too. Yeah, he's enthusiastic as well, and he's
Hmm.
gonna learn fast. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
he's smart.
Yeah, the Benjamin of the family, right? The little one, right?
The little one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was very pretty enthusiastic, and he's got a good level too. I thought he was gonna be a bit more elementary, but
Mm-hmm.
no, he's got a decent level, so it's gonna be easier for him to learn as well.
That's
So
right.
that was a good surprise.
Perfect teacher.
I was preparing
Yeah.
a chapter for a book I'm still are, and the book is about Darwinism and the evolution of species. And there is a guy by the name of Piotr Kropotkin who challenges his view. He thinks that Darwinism is a bit exaggerated when he says, Mickey, that humans have always struggled for existence, almost like in the jungle, that we kill each other to survive. And he says that that is an exaggeration and that actually is quite the opposite. That mutual aid, mutual assistance, mutual help among animals, savages, barbarians, and now in modern civilization is what has allowed us to evolve, to produce the evolution of species. And that's a very, very interesting concept, totally new and totally opposite to what we have learned in school. What do
Yeah.
you think about this idea, Mickey?
Of the Darwinism or of the other idea?
No, both ideas. If you put them in contrast, Darwin says that, or apparently he says that we struggle for survival, we struggle for food, we need to fight with each other, even among the same species, for almost everything. And this guy says that is exaggerated and that is quite the opposite. Kropotkin says that, on the contrary, what has allowed the evolution of species and the evolution of man for certainty is that we've been able to help each other, mutual aid. What do you think of the concept, both concepts, Mickey?
Well, both concepts are interesting. To be honest, completely more. How can I say? Well, I know more about the concept of Darwin because, as we mentioned, that's the concept that I teach you in the school. So probably I'm a little bit more familiar with it. But I always believe that we need to have like our own uh, mindset and obviously believe in ideas and have doubt in others. I think so. So if there's someone who is saying probably the opposite, I think that it's good, and well, with that we can create our own, uh, our own idea probably. But yeah,
Of
it's
course.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, Mickey. No, totally true. Totally agree with you. Absolutely. Let me share a reading and we
Yeah.
discuss it as we go through it, please.
Mhm.
Kropotkin here. Okay. Yeah, this is not it. Let me see. Here. Kropotkin, share screen. Uh, Mutual aid. Okay, whole screen. All right. Okay, this is it. Can you read it? You can see it?
I can see it.
Okay. So maybe let's read the first part, Mickey, please. Mutual aid among animals, please.
Yeah, mutual aid among animals, a struggle for existence, mutual aid, a law of nature and chief factor of progressive evolution, invertebrates, ants and bees, birds, hunting and fishing associations, sociability, mutual protection among small birds, cranes, parrots.
Yeah.
The conception of a struggle for existence as a factor of evolution, introduced into science by Darwin and Wallace, was permitted us to embrace an immensely wide range of phenomena in one single generalization, which soon became the very basis of our philosophical, biological, and sociological speculations. An immense, uh, an immense variety of facts, adaptations of function and structure of organic beings to their surroundings, physiological and anatomical evolution, intellectual progress, and more development itself, which we formerly used to explain by so many different causes, were embodied by Darwin in one general conception. We understand them as continued endeavors, as a struggle against adverse circumstances for such a development of individuals, races, species, and societies as would result in the greatest possible fullness, variety, and intensity of life. It may be that at the outset Darwin himself was not fully aware of the generality of the factor which he first invoked for explaining one series only of facts relative to the accumulation of individuals' variations in incipient species. Continue?
Yes, please. But he foresaw.
But he foresaw that the term which he was introducing into science would lose its philosophical and its only true meaning if it were to be used in its narrow sense only, that of a struggle between separate individuals for the sheer means of existence. And at the very beginning of his memorable work, he insisted upon the term being taken in its large and metaphorical sense, including dependence of one being on another, and including, which is more important, not only the life of the individual, but success in living progeny.
Yeah. So he says that he established the concept of struggle for survival in a general sense, but apparently it was a bit narrow. But the problem was not himself, but his followers, the advocates that Darwin had narrowed down to the concept of just struggle as a factor of evolution, which now he says in the next paragraph that was very short-sighted, very narrow-minded, that in reality it was not only that, but mutual aid, which allowed species to evolve, as it says in the following paragraph. Mickey, can we take a look at the next one, please?
Mhm. While he himself was chiefly using the term in its narrow sense for his own special purpose, he warned his followers against committing the error, which he seems wants to have committed himself, of overrating its narrow meaning. In The Descent of Man, he gave some powerful pages to illustrate its proper, wide sense. He pointed out how, in numberless animal societies, the struggle between separate individuals for the means of existence disappears, how a struggle is replaced by cooperation, and how that substitution results in the development of intellectual and moral faculties, which secure to the species the best condition for survival.
That's let's stop here for a moment, Mickey,
Yeah.
please. So you replace, or they replace, struggle for cooperation.
Cooperation.
Um, where would you see this? Because then he shows some examples which are just marvelous. That those are fantastic examples. But for example, if you see the portraits of birds, what do you think of? What species would you think that tend to cooperate more? What species of animals, what species of birds would you think that cooperate among others?
Hmm. Well, I remember one time. Uh, how do you say magpies? Uh, Urracos, I don't know how to say it in English.
I think cray is not uh, ravens. Is not ravens. I think. I believe it's ravens. Ravens. Maybe they have another name, but I know that it could be
Ravens
ravens.
are cuervos.
Right. Maybe
Urracos
I
and
don't know.
cuervos are the same. I don't know.
I think they are, but maybe different. But what urracos or ravens?
Okay. Well, I remember one time, probably it was 6 or 7 years ago. I had a dog, and this dog killed one raven. So I remember coming to the house, and then I saw at least 30 or 40 ravens round my dog, and the body of the raven dead was in the floor, and then they were trying to I don't know to I don't know what they were trying to do with my dog, but all the ravens covered him, well, covered her, and yeah, it was a cooperation, and all of them were screaming, all of them were, like trying to to do something to
Well,
my dog in this case,
that's
and
impressive. That makes me
and
thrill, really. 30, 40 ravens together, right?
yeah, and all of them were screaming. So imagine the noise that they were making. It was um, well, at least it was surprising for me because uh, how they cooperate in group, how they work, and how in the moment that they saw a possible threat, well, they act in certain ways. So that's an example that came to my mind. But yeah, I imagine that there are so many examples.
That's a fantastic example. Actually, they mentioned something quite similar in this book. This book, don't believe that was written recently. This book was written at the beginning of the 20th century, 1902, at the beginning of the last century. So it's pretty old, but the observations of this man, he lived in Siberia, in many countries, and he, well, imagine the tundra, all the possible places that he's been to.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm surprised by the example that you mentioned because it's quite similar to what he mentions here. Um, let's see this paragraph, Mickey, please, because I think somewhere here he's going to mention exactly your example, more or less similar, not exactly the same, but very similar. How birds can protect dogs and other parrots and hummingbirds and so on, except when they are attacked by eagles or hawks or in some occasions vultures.
Hmm.
And so it's impressive. Let's see here, please. Happily,
Hmm. Unhappily, these remarks, which might have become the basis of most fruitful researches, were overshadowed by the masses of facts gathered for the purpose of illustrating the consequences of a real competition for life. Besides, Darwin never attempted to submit to a closer investigation the relative importance of the two aspects under which the struggle for existence appears in the animal world, and he never wrote the work he proposed to write upon the natural checks to overmultiplication, although that work would have been the crucial test for appreciating the real purpose of individual struggle. Nay, on the very pages, uh, nay, on the very pages just mentioned, amidst data disproving the neuromalthusian conception of struggle, the old Malthusian leaven reappeared, namely in Darwin's remarks as to the alleged, how say this, alleged
alleged.
alleged inconveniences of maintaining the weakened mind and body in our civilized societies, as if thousands of weak-bodied and infirm poets, scientists, inventors, and reformers, together with other thousands of so-called fools and weak-minded enthusiasts, were not the most precious weapons used by humanity in its struggle for existence by intellectual and moral arms,
Yeah,
which,
that the
yeah,
sentiment. Yes. I'm sorry, Mickey. That is quite important because eventually, if you remember, Adolf Hitler proclaimed that the superiority of race was based on the uh, survival of the fittest. right?
Hmm.
The strongest ones were the ones who had to survive. And he said that the people who had some type of disease, some type of problem, some type of weakness, some type of disability or anything had to be exterminated because man
Hmm.
had to be perfect. And the concept here is quite the opposite. He says that the people who were weak in mind and body wouldn't have been them the poets, scientists, inventors, and reformers, right? Were not people who were in difficult conditions who struggled to achieve great uh, works of art, of poetry, of science, and many many other things. In other words, it was not necessary that you had a perfect genetic to create fantastic poetry, art, science, social concepts, etc. How does that impact in your thought, Mickey? How does it make you think in general terms?
Yeah, well, now that we're reading this, it makes me analyze like different ideas that in occasions probably are not correct. For example, well, when I compared the first theory with this theory, obviously it came to my mind when I was in the school and when they say that the the strong the strongest species will prevail, in few words. But now that you mentioned, for example, Hitler and the Second World War II, and that he want to create the like the perfect man, the perfect uh, what they think that what they thought that was perfect. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, it makes you analyze so many things, and that is not necessary to be perfect to create in general art, invention.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so
Yeah,
interesting
that's
to.
true, Mickey. That's true. Yeah, it's very interesting. Besides the fact that the, the white man, the Aryans still need to fight hand to hand to the black or to the brunette races, right? In the
Mhm.
fact also, something which I argued when I was a bit younger
Mhm.
with the priests or with the people that defended racism was that, well, let's suppose that the best race is the one that's gonna beat everyone in everything. That doesn't mean that it's the white race. It could be the black race because if you ask them to jump, probably the blacks will jump higher or will run faster than
Master.
the white
Yeah,
race, right? So
yeah,
that
absolutely.
is not true. Yes,
Yeah,
right. I mean, we still it doesn't prove that the white race is the strongest. If there were any racism, let me get some water. Mickey, please excuse me because
yeah,
I need to
surely.
make myself a cup of coffee, but I don't want to interrupt the discussion. So, in other words, yeah, being strong physically is important. Actually, it's an advantage. Nobody denies that, but that doesn't mean that you will deny, much less exterminate the people who has some minor disability or minor capacity because that is against the species or against the survival effort. But on the contrary, if there is a disability or a lack of capacity in anything, that may impulse your additional abilities to grow or to develop. What do you think of this idea, Mickey? Of what is compensation or overcompensation?
Mm, yeah, I think that I didn't listen correctly because I don't know if the microphone was moving or my computer was struggling with the
Oh,
internet. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Well, let me restate the concept. If there is, let's say that a person has some kind of handicap, he
Hmm.
cannot walk very well, or he cannot see very well, or he has some type of disability, any type of
Hmm.
disability. That wouldn't be. an excuse for executing this person, right?
Oh,
He
okay,
has
yeah.
the right to fight, not to fight to be part of society. He has the right to develop his art, science, his culture, his beliefs, and live in society harmoniously, right? And then not only not simply because he is not 100% physically fit or even mentally fit, we would need to get rid of him in society to exterminate him. That's not an excuse. Do you agree with that idea?
Yeah, there's no way could listen you. Yeah, of course. At the end, who says that that person or race has the right to decide? How can I say, like, who is fit to belong or not to a society, right? Who has the right to decide that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that was more or less the idea of Nazism.
Mm,
The National Socialism said that um, they would struggle for the superior race, for the superior man, among with Nietzsche. And there is a valid idea that we want to be stronger than weaker, we want to be healthier than sicker, we want to be fitter than not fit. But that doesn't mean that we need to get rid of all those people who don't fit the proper standard. Like if we were just screws in a factory, right?
yeah,
Well, this person is not 1.80. Well, get rid of him or get rid of her. No, that of course not, right?
of course, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and a part of that, I
Yes,
think
Mickey.
that it is important to analyze who established those, uh, who can say, like, those
Parameters.
forms or those parameters. Yeah, it's it's interesting too.
Yeah, that's true. Who established those parameters? Who established them actually? Who said that this was the right race and this had to be the color, the perfect color, etc.? Actually, for example, Hitler advocated for the Aryan man, but it has been proven now that, for example, blue eyes are weaker and less adapted to the struggles of the sun and
Hmm.
society in general than dark eyes.
Yeah,
So even if in the base it might sound interesting, the concept, it also doesn't fit that the white man will be the best man, even if it's been supported for decades through television and TV and media, right?
hmm,
Because, for example, dark eyes are much stronger and resist the impact of the sun and the environment than other type of colors. So even then, it is not
dark skin too.
dark skin. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So it seems to be more resistant. But well, it's very interesting because there is a lot of controversy in the world about this, the
Hmm.
superiority of race, and has been prevalent mostly because of Darwin's theory.
Hmm.
And now this guy that has not been mentioned in the academic papers comes
Yeah.
out and then disproves Darwin's theory. Is very impactful. He says, "Well, wait a minute. Darwin said that, yeah, but he was wrong. And not only him, but his followers." So that's an amazing comment that he's making, and that's why I wanted to share it with you, Mickey.
Thank you, teacher. Yeah, and this person uh, has the, how can I say it, like the recognizement of
Recognition?
the
No,
recognition.
unfortunately, he doesn't. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Exactly what you said, Mickey. He doesn't have the public recognition because he's been hidden from the academic papers. The only
Mm.
one that people has accepted as a valid argument is that of Darwin's theory,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
instead Kropotkin based his studies in Darwin's writings and in research and investigation. And he said, well, his idea of struggle for survival is valid up to a certain point in a narrow sense. But in reality, the species like birds, carnivores, many mammals, many birds, rodents, etc., have shown to cooperate as a means of survival. So he says that is mutual aid what has helped people evolve and achieve survival and despite the survival efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And he proves that in this book, which is
Mm-hmm.
called Mutual Aid as a Factor in Evolution.
Evolution. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a great book. Let me just read one more paragraph, Mickey, because
Yeah.
I want to show you an example. I believe this one, the next one, please, where it says it happened with Darwin's theory.
It happened with Darwin's theory, as it always happens with theories having any bearing upon human relations. Instead of widening it according to his own ends, his followers narrowed it still more. And while Herbert Spencer, studying on independent but closely related lines, attempts to widen the inquiry into the great question, who are the fittest, especially in the appendix to the third edition of the Data of Ethics, the numberless followers of Darwin reduced the notion of a struggle for existence to its narrowest limits. They came to conceive the animal world as a world of perpetual struggle among half-starved individuals thirsting for one another's blood. They made modern literature resound with the war cry of woe to the vanquished. As if it were the last word of modern biology, they rate the pitiless struggle for personal advantages to the height of a biological principle which humans must submit to as well, under the menace of otherwise succumbing in a world based upon mutual extermination. Continue?
Yes, please. Yes, that's truly interesting.
Leaving aside the economists who know of natural science but a few words borrowed from second-hand vulgarizers, we must recognize that even the most authorized exponents of Darwin's views did their best to maintain those false ideas. In fact, if we take Huxley, who certainly is considered as one of the ablest exponents of the theory of evolution, were we not?
Let me fix this.
Mhm.
Uh, Here, there.
Yeah, were we not thought by him, in a paper of the struggle on the struggle for existence and its bearing upon men, that, from the point of view of the moralist, the animal world is on about the same level as a gladiators show. The creatures are set to fight, whereby the strongest, the swiftest, and the cunningest live to fight another day. The spectator has no need to turn his thumb down, as no water is given.
You know what he refers to when he says the spectator has no need to turn his thumb down. Which emperor is he referring to when he makes that allegory?
Mm, well, they do that when uh, I don't know, when they don't like the show or when they don't how's it like they don't like the gladiator, right?
Yeah, that meant that in the fight of gladiators,
Mm-hmm.
the thumb down meant death,
Mm-hmm.
and that was presented by Nero, the
Mm-hmm.
Roman Emperor Nero, and also in the when the Christians were to be executed by the lions in
Mm-hmm.
the Roman Colosseum, they
Mm-hmm.
used this thumb down to show that it was time to die. So it says that the spectator has no need to do this, right? Um, and also, he criticizes Darwin's followers because they only talk about these exceptional cases in which man struggle and fight, which he says they had proclaimed this to be the regularity and the commonality, when in reality, many more moments of creation and development and brightness and epic moments in nature have had place. And it has been much longer the time when men have created and been inspired by positive moments through cooperation. So I'm trying to find this paragraph where it says but it talks about the birds and parrots and other animals that help each other.
Hmm.
Let me see if I find it here. Let me see. It must be like ducks or something. Ducks, ducks, or ducks, or um, vultures. It's not fun. Eagles. Let me see. Eagles. Eagles. I think it's not finding the words. The search is not finding the words. Let me just find one more paragraph that I
Yeah.
was reading. The thing is that I was reading it in Spanish yesterday because
Hmm.
of the article that I'm writing. I think here, as a zoologist of all standing, I think this is it, Mickey. As a zoologist, here, if you can read that, please.
Yeah.
All
As a zoologist of all standing, he felt bound to protect against the abuse of a term, the struggle for existence, borrowed from zoology, or at least against overrating its importance. Zoology, he said, and those sciences which deal with men, continually insist upon what they call the pitiless law of struggle for existence. But they forget the existence of one other law which may be described as the law of mutualate, which law, at least for the animals, is far more essential than the former. He pointed out how the need of living progeny necessarily brings animals together, and the more the individuals keep together, the more they mutually support each other, and the more are the chances of the species for surviving, as well as for making further progress in its intellectual development.
Okay, let's stop there for a moment, Mickey, please. What do you think of this idea? The more they mutually support each other, the more are the chances of the species for surviving. Doesn't it make sense? Is it not logical to think that the more you are together with a group of people, it is more likely that your progeny, that your species will survive? At least it makes total sense to me that if we are constantly fighting with each other, how can
Hmm.
we ever make a bond, a collectivity, and obviously a survival for a race? What do you think?
Yeah, of course. Well, it makes total sense to me too, because well, there are cases when we are part of a group. First of all, feel part of something, and we have like this feeling of protection too. I think so. So
Mhm.
yeah, it is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, totally agree. And then, is it not true, Mickey, that most of the time, yeah, people sometimes fight for territory to protect their cubs, to protect. Sometimes, if there is limited food, we protect the limited food. We make a clan.
Hmm.
Uh, but those are exceptional cases. We're not fighting all day long. We fight a moment of the day, a moment of the life. But in general, people are cooperating and giving mutual aid to build the clans, to build the tribes, to build a small society, which eventually, as the book says, evolved into a family. But at the beginning, people didn't live in families, they lived in clans, in tribes, in groups. And from the moral aspect, you would have thought that that was indecent, right? You say, how can that be? And the family, according to this book and other books, is an evolution of society of recent centuries. Is not
Hmm.
is not something that used to happen thousands of years ago in the glacier era.
Hmm.
And of course, from the ethical perspective, now we live in a family. We live in a monogamous family. We
Hmm.
have developed our not ethical values according to evolution.
Hmm.
But in the past, that was not the norm. The norm that was that people lived in a group, in a clan, and that was it.
Hmm.
So we need to see it with some perspective.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is true.
Okay. Well, let's read this last part of this paragraph, Nikki, please. All classes.
Hmm. All classes of animals, he continued, and especially the higher ones, practice mutual aid. And he illustrated his idea by examples borrowed from the life of the burrowing beetles and the social life of birds and some mammalia. The examples were few, as might have been expected in a short opening address, but the chief points were clearly stated. And after mentioning that in the evolution of mankind mutual aid played a still more prominent part, Professor Kessler concluded as follows: I obviously don't deny the struggle for existence, but I maintain that the progressive development of the animal kingdom, and especially of mankind, is favored much more by mutual support than by mutual struggle. All organic beings have two essential needs: that of nutrition and that of propagating the species. The former brings them to a struggle and to mutual extermination, while the needs of maintaining the species bring them to approach one another and to support one another. But I am inclined to think that
Organic, organic world.
in the organic world, in the progressive modification of organic beings, mutual support among individuals plays a much more important part than their mutual struggle.
Okay. So that's a great conclusion. Mutual support weighs more than mutual struggle. I'm going to put that here. Mutual support or plays a stronger role than mutual struggle. What consequence do you think this should have in our society? If this were true, which I believe is true, what should the consequence be, taking this as a base, as a cradle? If this is true, what should people do then? Or what is the natural way of being in our society? Mutual support plays a stronger role than mutual struggle.
Well, I don't know. It is interesting. I don't know if people normally uh, we struggle because all of us read the the book of Darwin. I don't think so, but I think that if we have like this base, about mutual support, probably society in general will be different. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. In some part of this book, he says that societies that have evolved, the Finnish society, the Norwegian, the German society, the Aryans, has done so not because genetical superiority, but because of societal collaboration. That they collaborated to build bridges, to protect the forests, to to maintain the water, and so it's like if we found a treasure, a recipe for survival, and we don't want to share it. We want actually to twist it. It's like if I have my brothers and friends, and I tell you, your family and friends, hey, Miky, Miguel, this and that. This is the place where we find water, drinkable water, potable water. And then I tell all the other people that this water is poison because I don't want them to come close. I don't want them to
Mhm.
drink from this water, right? So I change the idea. And then I say, well, collaboration is not what makes people thrive. What makes people thrive is individualism and individual efforts. So divide the society, be individualistic, and notion people nations believe this notion nations believe this notion that we should not collaborate, and we start to become weaker and weaker and weaker as a society. Well, just take our society. It's all completely divided, and I don't think that we're becoming very, very strong as a society being this divided. What do you
Mhm.
think?
Yeah, it is true. I think that, well, in the school, in occasions, in our families, they teach us like everything is like a competition, that you need to be better than the others, and I think that it's for the same idea, that the strongest one is the one who prevails, and now that we are analyzing this, I think that it's important to create like our own criteria, right? And see if it fits or not. But yeah, it is interesting, and I haven't analyzed before.
Yeah, well, what totally convinced me is what he says some point ahead in the book that some species help each other, like mammals,
Hmm.
principally mammals, um, and that is incredible to think. He says that only tigers and lions and leopards tend to live in solitude, whereas most of the other animals in the mammal reign,
Hmm.
most of them help each other, live in communities, and help each other. I'm trying to find where it says that it is. Let me see if I find it nearby here, real quick. Birds. He said something about birds. So floating direction, spider beetles. All right, yeah. Okay, ants and termites. Here, Mickey. Let's just read this. It says
Hmm.
how. Okay, this please, Mickey. Please. If
Yeah.
we knew.
If we knew no other facts from animal life than what we know about the ants and the termites, we already might safely conclude that mutual aid, which leads to mutual confidence, the first condition for courage, and individual initiative, the first condition for intellectual progress, are two factors infinitely more important than mutual struggle in the evolution of animal kingdom. In fact, the ant tribes, without having any of the protective features, which cannot be dispensed with by animals living an isolated life. Its colors renders it conspicuous to its enemies, and the lofty necks of many species are conspicuous in the meadows and forests. It is not protected by a hard carapace, and its stinging apparatus, however dangerous when hundreds of stings are plunked into the flesh of an animal, is not a great value for individual defense, while the eggs and larvae of the ants are a dainty for a grand number of inhabitants of the forest. And yet the ants, in their thousands, are not much destroyed by the birds, not even by the anteaters, and they are dreaded by most stronger insects. When Forel emptied a bagful of ants in a meadow, he saw that the crickets ran away, abandoning their host to be sacked by the ants. The grasshoppers and the crickets fled in all directions. The spiders and the beetles abandoned abandoned their prey in order not to become prey themselves. Even the nests of the wasps were taken by the ants after a battle during which many ants perished for the safety of the Commonwealth. Even the swiftest insects cannot escape, and Forel often saw butterflies, gnats, flies, and so on surprised and killed by the ants. Their force is in mutual support and mutual confidence. And if the ant, apart from the still higher developed termites, stands at the very top of the whole class of insects for its intellectual capacities, if its courage is only equaled by the most courageous vertebrates, and if its brain, to use Darwin's words, is one of the most marvelous atoms of matter in the world, perhaps more so than the brain of man, is it not due to the fact that mutual aid has entirely taken the place of
Mutual.
mutual struggle in the communities of ants?
Well, that's a fantastic comment. He says that ants working together can destroy all kinds of nests, larvae, and the termites themselves, and that the capacity of collaboration in groups of the ants can equal or even rival that of man. That's pretty daring, but I don't know. What do you think of this, Mickey? That he says that tremendous power of ants in a forest, making different species of animals abandon their holes and their prey to that extent. What do you think of this, Mickey?
Yeah, well, it is completely true. I think that uh, this is the perfect sample to show us the importance of cooperation, and not only uh, to see the other people or the other species like a competition. You know, I think that if we work together, probably the world and society will be completely different. And an example of the ants uh, are the perfect example to show us that it's true.
Okay.
It's a perfect example.
It's a perfect example, exactly. How would you change the notion that individualistic efforts are good, but group efforts, mutual aid, as you say, is much stronger and impact on the community? Uh, how can we turn around the idea that we need to compete with each other against the fact with the idea that we should collaborate with each other? How can we change that mindset? How will we do that?
Mm, well, I think that we can analyze the different moments in the story where, well, probably someone has the main idea, but if the group or if the other people didn't support that idea, probably those changes in the history never will happen. So at the end, probably this person has an idea, but without that group, uh, it didn't work. I don't know.
Well, okay, well, you're saying something very, very interesting. You say that historical support, I mean, um, historical relates,
Hmm.
historical stories is redundant, historical examples,
Events.
events, historical events of mutual support. Well, you can see this in many times of history. You have seen this during wars, for example, which is an unfortunate event, but you can see how many societies have resisted the attacks of the aggressive forces that have fought to conquer them, and how communities have resisted invasions. Communities have resisted invasions by keeping themselves tight and together. And you see this in many historical events, not only for resistance but for creation. For example, this book says, Kropotkin says that the construction of bridges, walls, and walls, dams. I'm sorry, dams, presas.
Hmm.
The maintenance of forests, the agriculture itself. These have all been group efforts. You don't see one person cultivating a piece of land by himself. You need groups of people. You need group efforts. You don't build a bridge only by yourself or a dam, or you don't maintain forests by one person. So all the aspects that help or nurture a community, you need to make a group effort. And how old do you think are the bridges, Mickey?
How what, teacher? Sorry.
How old is the construction of bridges?
Mm, I don't know. Years, I think so.
Centuries, centuries. They have built bridges since thousand years. Let's look up. Can we look up how old is the construction of bridges, please?
Yeah, bridges. Mm, well, there are pure different answers, but I think that uh, those answers like are like in the in the actuality, but I'm trying to look up in the past because, for example, here says that well, this is a bridge over water, and this says that the construction of the Main Street Bridge started in 2006 and ended in 2010, which took nearly 4.5 years to complete in full shape. But this is in the actuality. I don't know in the past. I'm trying to look up for more information.
Yeah. They said that used to have bridges in the ancient Mesopotamia, and the ancient Egypt already had bridges, and the ancient Rome also had bridges. Actually,
Mm.
the Roman Empire was famous for its advanced engineering and construction techniques.
Hmm.
It says, including the building of numerous bridges throughout its vast territory. And the Roman bridges were typically constructed with stone arches. So actually, it was the Romans who were credited with the construction of bridges using stone arches for
Stoner.
connecting cities. Yeah. Remember that the arch is the strongest structure that can support any bridge.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that is dated from the ancient Rome during the Roman Empire before Christ. So, or even if the ancient Egypt already had bridges, and they say that they have seen the Mesopotamian civilization. Actually, the two famous rivers, Tigris and Euphrates, they have constructed bridges as early as the third millennium before Christ, 3,000 years before Christ. So, yeah, bridges are very, very old.
Hmm.
But the thing is that how do you build a bridge? You need a collective effort. You need to work in group, right? To preserve your city. How do you make a fortress? Fortresses. How do you make a fortress? Well, you need people. You need lots of people. You need a cooperation of people.
Yeah.
Uh, the second question is why would anyone foster the idea? Why? And this is a philosophical question. Why would anyone foster the idea that working individually is better than working collectively? This is just a philosophical question, and any answer is valid. Let's read it. Can you read the question, Mickey, please?
Yeah.
This one in English.
Um, why would anyone foster the idea that working individually is better than working collectively?
And this has profound consequences because this leads us to totally different concepts of the world, and this impacts the business too, right? This has an impact in society, a dramatic impact. So, what do you think? Why would I say that working individually is better than working as a group?
Mm, I don't know. I'm thinking, for example, in the organizations or in the enterprises, uh, there are different departments, and in those departments, obviously, there are depending of the size of the enterprise, the amount of people in each department. But at the end, probably it is easier to have like one leader than 20 or 30 leaders. So probably that's why uh, the recognition is just to one person instead to all the group. And probably we try to change that. It will be a change that would affect to all the society. I think so, but it's something that is important to analyze.
That's a great idea, actually. The concept of the pyramid is a great idea, of course. There is a leader. Well, there is a leader in any clan, in any tribe. There is a tribe of any species. Yeah, you will have a leader, you will have followers, you will have citizens, but these people work for the group. They don't work individually. If
Hmm.
that was the case, there would be 100,000 million individual enterprises and not a company, right? Companies really work with groups, with people. They collaborate for the company, for the society. You collaborate in the family collaborates in the cluster collaborates in the colony collaborates in the city, and or the citadel, and the citadel collaborates in the city, and the city collaborates. So it's a group collaboration at the end, don't you think? Or what do you think, Mickey? Maybe yes?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right, right. So, um, and the second concept, mutual aid. I made a survey. I think I asked your dad and many other friends to
Hmm.
answer this survey, and they kindly replied. And the common answer was that what is the principal factor for people to cooperate? And one of the most common answers that I received in this survey, of like 50 people, I should have sent it to you, but I already did, um, was that the fact of reciprocation.
Yeah,
Reciprocation. And remember that I think we talked about this the other day, Mickey,
yeah.
reciprocity.
Hmm.
Well, mutual aid means that you're going to help your friend, but you know that your friend is going to pay back one day, right? You don't need it in this moment. Maybe you don't need it never, but you know that he one day can repay with helping you with anything, and vice versa. And this creates a bond. This creates a very strong bond and trust. What do you think this trust is important, Mickey? Oh, there is a guy here knocking. They're gonna fix the water. Give me a second, Mickey, please, real
That's true.
quick, okay?
Yeah, take
Really
your
quick.
time. Don't worry. Chris, tranquilo.
Confianza. Sorry, Mickey.
Yes,
There's a
sure.
guy
Don't worry.
that's gonna fix here the. There is no water here, so it's gonna fix the pump, and they're gonna make some adjustments here. But well, there's been scarcity of water in the city for some reason.
In Leon?
Yeah, lots of scarcity. Lots of colonies have been running out of water, and they rationize the water now. We're in rations like 2 or 3 times per week in Leon now.
Yeah, I think that the last week I saw a picture of the um, Palote Dam, it's
Dam,
called.
the
Yeah.
Palote Dam, yeah, yeah, totally
Empty. It's
dry,
completely, yeah.
empty. Yeah. It's
It's
so
so
sad,
sad.
but it's true. Yeah, empty, totally dry.
Hmm.
It's amazing that we don't have this civism to protect our own resources.
Yeah. Actually, we are. I don't know exactly what my my dad is doing. Outside are the people who's working on that. But we are doing like a hole in the middle of the garden, and I think that is like to have a, a bigger how do you say cisterna? I don't know how to say it in English.
Cistern, yeah, reservoir.
Yeah, for the same reason, for the scarcity of the water. But well, we need to protect the water.
That's a smart thing to do. What your dad is doing to accumulate water,
Yeah,
and that way we're gonna be able to store to have some storage and get some water, extra water. Yeah, it's amazing, but it's just what we're talking about here in the courses, that how can we protect a collective owned resource, and looks like we don't have the capacity to protect our own resources, right?
probably. Yeah,
Wow. Oh, these guys are going to start drilling and it's going to make some noise.
don't worry, teacher.
Well, well, I suggest that if you have an opportunity, Mickey, take a look at this book. It's a great book. I'm gonna send you the. I'm gonna be able. I should download it, but in
Mm-hmm.
the meantime, I'm gonna send you the link so that you can open the.
Okay, sure. Yep. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Uh, let's see, Mickey, where you need to share. There. Okay. And here you'll be able to read. You can glance through the book. You can glance through the book and then, um, well, just see how the prevalence of mutual aid should go over the individualistic efforts in the preservation of society. For the personal growth is probably better, not better, but it might be enough that we work for our own good, which is
Yeah.
obvious, right? We want to we want to gain our health. We want to be strong. We want to be fit. We want to be smart. That's individual effort. That's valid. I'm not saying that we should forget about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but in the process of collaboration with society, with the group where you belong to, mutual aid is important, is prevalent, is actually the base for evolution, according to this book. What's your concluding words, Mickey?
Uh, well, yeah, both theories I consider that are valid. I think that uh, the answer will be don't be so not be so extremist with one or with the other. At the end, I think that both theories have their own arguments and both are valid too. But the answer will be to keep a balance. Don't be so so individualist and yeah, try to always uh, look for you, but look for the others too. I think so.
Perfect, exactly. Very good, Mickey. Well, that was a good. I don't think that we concluded everything because it's just the beginning of the discussion about Darwin's theory, right? We want to change Darwin's theory in an hour. Could do it, but we need maybe 20 more minutes.
Yeah, teacher. Thank you very much. That is so
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's incredibly interesting because of the consequences that it has. So,
Hmm.
well, okay, Mickey. Well, let's go see you on Friday, I guess.
Yes, sir. It's okay on Friday.
There may
At
be a
night?
possibility, Mickey, that we make the class sooner, maybe possibly Thursday, if it's needed. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir. At the same hour or different
The same
hour?
time, yeah, same time, please, maybe 9.
Okay, teacher. No, no
Bec-
problem.
because possibly I'm gonna have to go to Aguascalientes on Friday. So if it's
Mm.
okay with you, maybe we can do it on Thursday. Would that be okay with you?
Yes, sure. So on Thursday to.
I think I'll let you know, but I think it's gonna be on Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah, better Thursday, please.
no
All right.
problem. Yes, sure. Thank you very much. So
Okay,
see you on
Mickey.
Thursday, or we're still in touch.
All right, of course. Thank you very much, Mickey. Take care. See you.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Enjoy
Enjoy
your
your
day.
day. Thank you.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.